The sirens sliced through the late afternoon stillness like a knife through butter, loud and utterly pointless. I was crouched by the front walkway, tucking marigolds into the edges of my freshly planted pollinator garden, when red and blue lights flashed up to my driveway. You'd think I was running a drug den instead of tending a flower bed. Ho still dribbling, gloves caked with dirt, I glanced up just in time to see Linda standing rigid at the edge of my lawn, arms folded like she was auditioning for Tyrant Weekly. Her voice cut the air, sharp and grating, like a fork on a plate. "Officers, he's breaking our community rules. That yard's an eyesore in approved colors, illegal decorations, and a fire risk." She jabbed a finger at my garden like it was a loaded weapon. I stood brushing off soil, barely holding back a laugh. "You called 911 over flowers?" I asked, arching a brow. One officer, a young guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, sighed. "Sir, we got a report of a possible code violation and safety issue." The other, older and grayer, seemed 2 seconds from retirement and over it. Linda kept ranting, spouting HOA rules like a caffeinated auctioneer. When a sleek black SUV rolled up across the street, my smirk widened. The tinted window slid down, and out stepped someone who made Linda's face go white as a sheet. "Is that the mayor?" she stammered. "Yep." My brother, Mayor Daniel Reed, strolled over, sleeves rolled up, cool as ever. Linda blinked fast, recalculating her odds, then went full charm offensive. "Oh, Mr. Mayor, thank goodness you're here," she gushed. "I was just telling them how he's ruining our neighborhood standard, turning it into a wilderness." Daniel glanced at my tidy garden, native flowers, solar lights, a handmade bench, then at her. "Ma'am," he said, voice level, "I'm not here officially. I'm here because that's my brother you're trying to have hauled off for gardening." Silence hit like a brick. Linda's jaw dropped. The officers swapped looks. I leaned on my rake, grinning like I'd won the lottery. She had no clue who she'd picked a fight with, and she just stepped into her own grave. 3 months ago, I moved back into my childhood home not for old time's sake, but because Mom took a spill and needed help while she healed. I figured I'd spruce the place up while working remotely as a landscape architect, maybe enjoy the slower VYB. What I didn't expect was a showdown with Linda, the HOA dictator who ruled like it was her personal fiefdom. Early 60s, platinum bob sharp enough to cut glass, clipboard always in hand, she was a walking stereotype with an ego that could light the whole town. Trouble brewed 2 weeks in on a quiet Tuesday, when I turned the overgrown front yard into a pollinator haven. Wildflowers, milkweed for butterflies, a bee hotel, solar lanterns, and a sage green bench for Mom's tea breaks. Simple, beautiful, alive. It took 48 hours for Linda to swoop in, standing at my driveway's edge like a sentry, her fake smile dripping with venom. "Good morning," she chirped, venom lacing every syllable. "Just letting you know your garden's non-compliant." I blinked. "With what?" She flipped her clipboard like a judge with a gavel. Per HOA Section 4.2.1, front yards are limited to grass, white flowers, and shrubs under 24 inches. No seating, no odd lighting. I raised an eyebrow. "So my bench, lights, and flowers are banned? They disrupt uniformity," she snapped. "We value harmony here. And harmony bans butterflies?" I deadpanned. Her eyes narrowed. She wasn't used to pushback, and she handed me a notice like it was a royal decree before stomping off, already on her phone. A week later, a second notice hit my door. VY Sewell disruption and unauthorized flora. I chuckled, thinking she'd tire out, but I'd underestimated her reach. She canvassed the street, warning neighbors about the guy, turning our community into a zoo. She told Mrs. Harper across the way my flowers drew bees that'd sting kids. Then came anonymous emails about property values and unregulated landscaping. I didn't budge. I fired back with City Green Initiative docs, permits, plans, everything legit. Quiet support grew from neighbors sick of Linda's reign but too scared to fight. Then she slapped me with the DO Law 200 fine for non-compliant decor. I appealed at a sham hearing where she read violations like a courtroom drama queen. I had facts, but the fix was in. I left with one thought: if she wanted war, she'd get it. What Linda didn't know, what made her crusade both funny and sad, was that Daniel, the mayor, was watching. He told me to wait her out. HOA nuts fizzle eventually, but she didn't. She escalated, sending a neighborhood bulletin calling my yard a VY Sewell hazard, and pushing an emergency vote to rip it out. I was the enemy now. Staring at her absurd flyer on my mailbox, I thought, she has no idea who she's up against. It peaked on a sticky Saturday when Linda, fueled by her hazard claim, went full psycho and called the cops again. I was painting a birdhouse, Mom watching from the porch when sirens wailed. Red and blue lights bounced off the house. My stomach sank not from fear but disbelief. Here we go again, I muttered. 2 squad cars pulled up like it was a hostage crisis. Linda stood by her driveway, arms crossed, smirking like she'd won. I walked over calm. Afternoon, officers, I said. The younger one back again looked sorry. The gruffer one was already done. Sir, we got a 911 call about exposed wiring and fire hazards, he said. I pointed to my solar fairy lights. Those? They're sun-powered, certified, no cords. The young cop shrugged. Not even wired to the house, he mumbled. Linda charged in, flailing. This is outrageous. He's risking lives, wires, clutter, a tripping hazard bench, and yellow and red flowers. Think of the property values. The older cop turned, barely hiding his eye roll. Ma'am, we don't send squads for flower colors. She soured. Well, someone has to stop him. He's ignoring HOA rules and spreading chaos. 2 houses added potted plants this week. I opened my mouth, but then Daniel's city SUV rolled up. He stepped out, unruffled, and Linda's face went ghost pale. Mr. Mayor, she squeaked, forcing a smile. I was just, he cut her off. I know what you're doing. To the cops. 3rd call this month, right? The older one nodded. All HOA spats, no emergencies. Daniel eyed Linda. Using 911 for personal grudges is an abuse of city resources. She floundered. It's not a grudge, it's rules. HOA doesn't trump city law, he shot back. This isn't a crime scene. It's a garden. The street went dead quiet. Neighbors peeked out, sipping drinks, watching the show. Linda, sweating, mumbled. I'm just protecting the community. You fined him, harassed him, called cops repeatedly. Daniel said. That's not protection, it's fixation. I could have hugged him. But Linda doubled down. Next day, she sent an emergency memo. Remove all non-HOA items in 48 hours. She called a meeting, pushed a vote to ban artistic expression and benches. Scorched earth. She didn't see she'd lost the room. At the meeting, Mrs. Harper stood. He planted flowers his mom loves kinder than this board's ever been. Tom, the motorcycle guy, chimed in. You find me for a windshield, now benches? Get real, Linda. The tide turned. She screamed about chaos, but Daniel took the floor. Enough. I'm investigating this HA for harassment and illegal enforcement. All actions are suspended. Linda froze. Her reign was done. She should have quit. Licked her wounds with cheap wine. But no, Linda went nuclear. 2 days later, a lawsuit hit my door. Disregard of aesthetics, neighborhood unrest, and disruptive ideology do law $15,000 in damages for flowers. She wanted me buried. I called my lawyer Mike an HOA slang beast. He countersued for harassment, defamation, and distress, plus a restraining order. Linda got served mid-street priceless. Then Daniel's audit hit. HOA funds funneled to her cousin's law firm, illegal fees, La VYSH dinners. Subpoenas flew. Her allies bailed. My suit soared with neighbor testimonies and footage of Linda measuring my flowers at dawn. Her case? Dead no EVY denke. The HOA crumbled. She tried a secret meeting, but city officials raided it with warrants. She accused me of rigging. The mayor laughed out of court. Her empire was ash. A week later, I got due law $20,000 from the HOA for my trouble. Linda's house went up for sale. Neighbors toasted her exit. The city nullified all fines, restoring our rights. I sipped coffee, watching a hummingbird in my garden as Linda glared from her window, defeated. The war was over. She'd lost everything.